Hey everybody, Chris Curtis here for the Rockwall Sportscenter Yellow Jacket and Hawk Update. Of course, I'm joined by my partners in crime, Billy Quinn, and back joining us now, ready to roll, Stan Britton, and of course our cameraman is back as well. We're all at full strength now, full battery, and ready to rock and roll. We are entering the final week of district football for Rockwall ISD. Of course, we will start with what happened last week. Of course, Rockwall and Mesquite, a big matchup for the 11-6A Division I seed, and of course Rockwall pulls away 66-42. Yes, I did say 66 points. A lot of touchdowns, a lot of points were scored for Rockwall. At the end of the day, it's what Rockwall expected to do. It's what people expected to happen. It'd be a high-scoring game. I think it was a little over 3.5 hours. It was a long football game, but the best part is Rockwall does get that Division I seed. They will host a playoff game next week. They do have a bye this week, but all in all, a fantastic effort for the Rockwall Yellow Jackets, and the best thing about it is they're now the Division I seed, which means they host a home playoff game.
Yeah, everything that you want to do start the season, still sitting there. So Rockwall gets that number 1 seed. That was a big one there against Mesquite to see. Basically, the winner would have number 1 seed, and the loser would more than likely be the number 2, and so Rockwall gets the home game again, I think 4th consecutive year to have a home play since they've been doing it.
They've been doing it,
yeah.
Yep.
And so that's a big advantage for the Yellow Jackets, and excited about that, and looking like either Shoemaker or Harker Heights could be the opponents. That maybe Belton could sneak
There's
in.
still a lot of scenarios I think they could play out.
But looks like if you want to zone in on 3 teams, those would be the 3 teams that could possibly be coming out here to Rockwall. But yeah, that win over Mesquite was big. Good game to start, but then Rockwall pulls away as usual second half, and 66 points. Probably could have been a lot more.
Yep.
It was, 66 is tapping the brakes a little bit there in that game. So really good performance by the Yellow Jackets. Jackson Smith, of course, off the charts again. Braden had a great game from behind center. And then the guy that does not get any credit, does not get a lot of pub, but Zach Henry.
The baseball guy.
The baseball guy. Does an outstanding job, over 200 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns, and just a great game overall for this Rockwall offense. And the defense, I know it's 42 points there, but the defense did what they needed to do and had some big plays, and so it was a good way to end the regular season, get some rest, no major injuries, and let's let those bruises and cuts heal up a little bit, and be ready for whoever comes into town in about a week and a half.
Now, I saw a lot of people talking about how, man, finally, if you missed it, Rockwall was featured on the SportsCenter Top 10 on Friday night. And they were saying, man, it's the first time I've ever been on SportsCenter. My mind goes back to that first year of that amazing lateral times 5 play, which was number 1 on the charts. And Billy Quinton's voice was on it. So, of course, I know you need to brag about that just for a minute, but you won up Jackson right there. I like it.
Yeah, what was Jackson's? What were they on?
Two.
Yeah,
the student can't be better than
the student can't be better than the master.
All season.
We did.
All season.
And so, yeah, being number 1 here was that's a great moment. That was Coach Webb had just gotten here, and the lateral and us going crazy in the booth, I would think kind of, add a little spice to that crazy play. And so it was myself and David Sweet and Judge Williams doing that.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
Absolutely.
And Brian Williams there, and we were all going crazy. And I remember one of them, we got on the Whataburger play of the day.
Yeah.
We got on that was back when Keith Oberman had a show on ESPN. It was on that, and the Dale Hansen deal, and the ticket, Homer call, and all that stuff. So that was our 15 minutes right there, and it was well worth it. We had a good time, and so that was fun. But yeah, we got number 1. I mean, Jackson will get his number 1.
Well, I know you want to brag about that, but today he was voted as one of the top 25 in the semifinals for Mr. Texas football. So
love that.
He might have a little more than you now. He's going up there. It's neck and neck now.
Yeah, there's so many things that he's better than us.
What was your ranking in Mr. Texas football?
I 26.
Just on the outside looking in.
So
wow.
That's outside looking in.
I didn't realize it was that
close. It was very
Absolutely.
razor thin.
Wow.
And so, and my wife doesn't know yet.
The wife
I've
is
been
now
doing
calling.
this for how many years have we been doing this?
A lot of
She
weeks.
still doesn't know that I'm not available right now.
And talk about Jackson. Before we get to Heath real quick, let's talk about what Jackson has put on the table as far as the year goes as of right now. Obviously, the regular season has come to an end. He did essentially miss a game with that Longview game. So kind of tell us where we rank right now as far as Jackson and where we go from here with him.
Well, and he missed more than he did miss. He missed that game against Longview, but then also missed the game following against Horn. And so 2 games taken away. And then we've talked about this numerous times. I don't know how many games he doesn't even see the field in the second half. This last game against Mesquite was the first time that the starters were playing a good amount of on the field in the second half. And so right now, so far this season, 66 receptions, which is number 3 in the area. 1434 in the yardage, 1,434 yards, and 23 touchdowns. That's number 1 in the area, averaging just over 21 yards a reception. Does have a 75-yarder as his longest reception of the year. And so that's one thing, the season and how he's doing. This last game was his best game to date, as he ended up having 327 yards, 4 touchdowns, and averaging just over 36 yards a catch in that one, because he had 9 receptions for that. And let's talk about that game right now. The catches, just the potpourri of different catches that he has as far
it's unreal.
Yeah, the one-handed catch is what everybody's talking about, which is incredible. That he gets,
which has been now 2 games in a row he's made that type of catch.
Yeah. This one was a touchdown. They didn't give him a touchdown, but this was a touchdown, but they didn't give it to him. And it reminds me of his very first opportunity to have a touchdown in his rookie year, his freshman year.
Rookie year.
Yeah, his freshman year when he made a similar catch in the back of the end zone, but the officials say he was out of bounds, and when you looked at it, he wasn't, and it was a great grab, so he had to wait till he got his 1,000 touchdowns later on in his career. But this one was unbelievable. Just reached up there and pulled it out of the sky. He had a freeze play that Rockwall calls the freeze play, where they get the defense to jump off sides and they just throw it down the field, hoping to grab something since it's a free play, and it looked like it was going out of bounds. In fact, I think my call was, well, this one's going to go over his head, and then he jumped up and grabbed that one.
Grabs it.
And then had a great one on a slant route where he reached back and pulled it in and took that one to the house. So 3 incredible catches, over 300 yards receiving, just a great game again by Jackson. And I know that we take it for granted a lot and just sit there and of course, that's what he does. But great game. And then as far as his career goes, talked about his season, talked about the game. 4,678 yards so far in his career. He needs 746 yards to match Jordan Shipley with the all-time record. We know he's the 6A leader in career yards, but to get the all-time record, he needs still 746 yards. To most people, they're like, well, that's a season. Well, with him, if he keeps doing like he did last week, that's 2 games.
That's still going to be tough.
Yeah,
that's
very
going to be tough looking
because
at
you're
what
playing
could
tougher
be.
opponents. Yeah. So let's see what he does in the by-district round in that game. And then more than likely, here we are again, going to probably face Allen. But he had an incredible game against Allen last year. It was just a pinball game where both teams are just, putting up numbers. And so let's see what he can do and get to try to get the all-time record in Texas State high school football. He will surpass Shipley for 3rd place in receptions if he gets 13 more. And so he's closing in on that one. And then needs 322 more yards just to get past that 5,000 career receiving yards, which only 3 players have done. He'd be the 3rd player to do it. So an incredible career for Jackson. Hands down the best to come through here. And Coach Webb has said numerous times, most talented kid he's ever coached.
Could be the best we'll ever see, of course, in our lifetime, essentially here at Rockwall SD. We're switching gears to Rockwall Heath. Of course, they did have the bye week last week, but all eyes were obviously on 2 games last week. The first game that fell in favor of Rockwall Heath was the Longview Tyler Lee game. For about 20 minutes there, Rockwall Heath was alive. They were still alive in that playoff race. Then you kind of switched eyes over to the North Mesquite Horn game, needing North Mesquite to pull through in that game for Heath to stand a chance. Unfortunately, Mesquite Horn was able to take that game and officially eliminate Rockwall Heath from playoff contention this year. But still a lot of great things happening at Rockwall Heath. Of course, a Thursday night game tomorrow against North Mesquite. And Stan, I think the thing around Rockwall Heath now is let's get to that 500 record. Let's get to 5-5. And let's move on. Of course, last year, disappointing. So they're going to edge out, I think, 3 more wins this year than last year. And 2 more wins. They got 3 last year. So if they can pull this off tomorrow, that's going to be 5, and that's going to be a building block for Coach Brown, who's never had a losing record.
Yeah, he's only had 3 losing seasons in 33 years as a coach.
It's incredible.
Pretty incredible. And so to get back to 500, and we've talked about multiple times it doesn't feel like a 5-5 season. It doesn't feel like you're playing tomorrow night for to end the season at 500. The culture is different. The feel around campus is different. just the whole feel of the school is different. And so I think it's something that it's what needed to happen this year. Playoffs would have been great to be able to have a playoff game or two. Nobody's going to say no to that, right? But the great thing is the feel on campus is very different all the way around. And something that we were talking about last night at the volleyball game, the coaches that have been brought in, it's interesting, even being at Pee Wee football practice on Saturday morning this last week and being able to talk with a couple of teachers whose kids are on my kiddo's team. And, they're like, just the feel on campus all the way around. It's a completely different feel than what we've had in the last few years. And, the Hawks, they're 3 possessions from being a 7-3 ball club. You 4th and 4 or 4th and goal at the 4-yard line against Tyler Lee. You don't punch it in. It goes over on downs. They win by 5 points. Definitely a game changer there. You fumble twice inside the 20 against Mesquite. You lose by 10. Easily could have been a much closer game than that. And really and truthfully, it was a 3-point game until the last 40 seconds of the game, and you give up the late touchdown. But this team is 3 possessions from being a 7-3 ball club and realistically being the number 3 seed in District 11 6A. And Coach Spradlin knows that. He knows those are the differences. And it's one of those things now where his verbiage hasn't changed at all. He's just saying it just takes time. Mm-hmm. And this is something that thankfully the community is willing to give him the time to do. We're flying airplanes to say we love our coach now. So that's a very welcome change.
And you look at when Coach Webb started here at Rockwall, that first season was about the same as what Rockwall Heath's going. There were games that, they won on the edge. Of course, Rockwall had to hope their playoff hopes were in somebody else's hands waiting for and I think that record was 5-5 that first year of Coach Webb's tenure here at Rockwall. So I know it's frustrating to Hawk fans, but you got to see the potential there and what's to come hopefully here in the near future.
Yeah, and Spradlin, he keeps saying, he mentions it almost every time we talk. He's got 15 sophomores that have varsity experience now. They've played at least 6 games this season. 15 sophomores that can say, I lettered and played varsity ball my sophomore year. You have all of the pieces in place that, but 35 players are going to come back next year as, seniors, some of those seniors that have 2 years of varsity experience now. The program is rebuilding. You have more kids at the sub-varsity levels that are seeing success. You have a freshman sub-varsity team that played very, very well this year. And so all the building blocks are in play, and it's one of those things where, we kind of have a microwave mentality. We want to throw all the pieces in there and get success right now. And even Coach Spradlin is saying, hey, playoffs, we want to win. We want to get there, and it would have been great to be there this season. But all the pieces are in place for us to not just do this 1 year or 2 years, but to really build a program that can be successful for a long time. And 2, we deal with a crosstown rivalry, right? You've got 2 very successful schools in multiple areas, multiple sports, and want to be competitive. We want those games to not be decided before the coin toss. And so the Hawks are in a position here where now those building blocks are coming into play, and give it a year or 2 where it's one of those things where it's not one side or the other dominating. It really is, man, this is going to be a heck of a football game to watch, and it's anybody's game from the first kickoff to the final horn. And that's what we all want to see. We're all going to root for our teams. We're all going to root for our side of town. And I think Spradlin is able to talk the community and talk the fan base.
Talk them down a little bit.
Just to that, hey, it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. Give us time. We didn't get here quickly. It's not gonna happen overnight. And so, we're rebuilding something that people noticed 4 or 5 years ago needed tweaking and needed changing. And so we've got that first step. We've had a good season overall. You lose the games that you think on the schedule from week 1. Yeah, we're probably going to struggle in those couple of games. and then the ones that could have gone either way just didn't go in your favor, and you're looking at a 5-5 season.
Absolutely, and it doesn't help, not making excuses, but it doesn't help that you're voted as the number one toughest district in well, I've seen 1 and 2 as far as in the state of Texas, number 1 in the DFW. So it doesn't help coming into that situation right off the bat for Rockwall Heath.
I think that's why you have to have coaches like Mike Spradlin, like Rodney Webb, that come into this district and say, yeah, I can walk into the toughest district in the state of Texas and rebuild a contending program. It may take 4 or 5 years. It may take a little bit of time, and thankfully we have the benefit that four teams go to the playoffs, and so it is a little easier to build it into a playoff contending program than maybe 10, 12, 15 years ago where you had 2 schools and that's it. But it takes that caliber of coach to rebuild a contending program in a district as tough as this one.
Absolutely, and you look ahead. Of course, Rockwall is off this week, so they do have their bye. Rockwall Heath business is not done yet. As we mentioned, they want that 5-5 record. Tomorrow night, it is North Mesquite, probably the team that's struggling the most in 11-6A at the moment. Some positive vibes maybe going toward Rockwall Heath. What does Rockwall Heath need to do to match that 5-5 record and go out on a bang for 2019?
Yeah, it's an away game. North Mesquite has a new quarterback. They brought up a junior quarterback that will play tomorrow night, and had some success last week against Horn. North Mesquite's tied 14-14 towards the end of the second quarter, and we were watching that with bated breath, going, okay, well maybe the upset will happen. Who knows? But Horn did turn it on there late in the first half, and then took control through the remainder of the second half. But North Mesquite, by far the team that has struggled the most. Haven't won a game yet. They've shown some promise in some games, but in others you just see a lot of youth. They don't have a ton of numbers on the varsity squad, and the Hawks have an opportunity to go out and show that they do have some talent. You have a really good quarterback. You have a really good receiver. You have a couple of good running backs. When we, in the last couple of weeks, have seen Tavin Paxton, who competed for the starting quarterback job early in the season, has come in at running back in place of an injured Zach Evans, and has played very, very well. Had 80 yards 2 weeks ago, and played very solid. Played solid against Longview. Had a really good game against that Lobo defense, all things considered. And so, I think it's an opportunity for these seniors to go out to play their final game as a Hawk, to put a good stamp on a rebuilding year, and to get that win, and to finish with the 2 or the 3 wins in District 11-6A.
Just having that bye week, I know it's an awkward bye week essentially, but it's just the way the tables turn. Billy and I talked about Rockwall's last week about how awkward it is to have it, on that final week. Is it kind of help Coach Sprelin in a way to have it the week before the finals to get that extra week of practice in to kind of say, okay,
I think if you were talking about a playoff contender, absolutely. If you were talking about a team that said, yeah, we've got a bye district round coming up, we're watching the scoreboard to see who it's going to be, yeah, absolutely. A week 9 or week 10 bye week would be just fine. But I think for where the Hawks are right now, they would have just assumed played last week and said, hey, we'll just watch from home on the last week of the season. But
they haven't mailed it in yet by any stretch of the imagination.
No. I think it's just one of those things where the chips didn't fall our way in a couple of games, and so you're looking at a season where it would have been nice to be playing on that night instead of watching your fate play out on that night. But it is strange. It's strange to have bye weeks this late in the season. But I know obviously for Rockwall, they get a week to prepare for that bye district round matchup. And I the Hawks will take advantage of it. And who knows, a year from now after realignment, it may look very, very different with that bye week. We might have a more traditional bye week.
You never know. Billy, looking ahead to what Rockwall has in front of them, obviously you mentioned who they might be playing. What's the mood like? We obviously talked about this last week about this bye week. It's just kind of awkward. It's kind of you kind of heal, like you said, heal your wounds up. A lot of people are asking, well, when is the game going to be? We still don't know that. We won't probably know that till probably Saturday morning at the best about the day, who it's going to be. There's a lot to play out in District 12-6A. What's the mood like at Rockwall right now? Are we just healing up? Are we going to be scouting this week? What's the preparation for next week?
Oh, there's a lot of scouting going on. And healing up, yeah, but like I mentioned before, there's really no major injuries that you're sitting there saying, okay, when we're going to get so-and-so back and it's going to make a difference. They've been relatively healthy all season. We've had a couple bumps in the road. We had Jackson out a couple weeks. Zach Henry missed most of non-district, and a lot of that was let's just make sure he's ready for district. And here he is over 1,000 yards. He's the number 6 rusher in the area, where you didn't even see him on the chart for the longest part because he was just kind of working his way back. And then here he is, number 6 rusher, and you got a team that has a 1,000-yard rusher. You have a receiver that possibly could be at 2,000 yards receiving. You have a quarterback that's going to be over 3,000 yards passing. He's just under it right now. As a team, they rushing as a team is just 33 yards shy of 2,000 yards, just 39 yards shy of 3,000, as I mentioned before, in passing. So, and then just under 24 yards shy of 5,000 yards as a team. So it's incredible what this team has done. And again, let's remember, a lot of that is just playing a half in the game. So I can't imagine what the numbers would be like if they were playing into the fourth quarter in a majority of their games. So this is a big deal for the team to kind of rest. And it's more rest than anything else and refocus. Didn't have that all year. You mentioned being in the toughest district in the state. I agree with that. And Stan's talking about that with the Heath, and it ain't much different to have the week 9 bye as opposed to week 10, or actually week 11 and week 10 buys, is the way they number it now. But I think with Rockwall with that bye, yeah, it would have been nice back in the day when you would have the bye before district and everybody got it because it was an even numbered teams.
Right.
You would be able to get ready for district and go, and especially it seemed like we were always starting with Longview, so yeah, we need a bye before then. But you didn't. If you could have picked it when the season started, nah, we don't want that. We'd rather have a bye middle of the year. And imagine how Rockwall would have looked if they did have a bye or middle of the year. Maybe Jackson doesn't miss one of those games. But now that it's here, oh man, this is a great time to have a bye, I think is the attitude right now, because what you get is the rest for the players to refocus and get ready. The coaches now can go in person to look at whoever they need to look at, and it's going to work out pretty good for them because more than likely the two teams that they're possibly playing are playing each other. It's Shoemaker versus Harker Heights, and that's an odd scenario that we can talk about here in a little bit about the possibility of who we're going to see. And then there's Belton that could sneak in. They need some things to work out for them. They got to, of course, win, but they got to hope that that there's another loss along the way for them to get in. And so I think it comes as a good time right now. The coach, the attitude is just, let's roll.
Yep.
And they've been here a number of years before. For the last few years, they know they're going to have a home playoff game. And so this is not new to the Yellow Jackets. They know how to do it. A lot of players are seasoned with Jackson and Zach and a lot of guys on defense and offensive line. They've been here before. So they know what to expect and how to prepare for it. As I'm driving here, I'm driving by practice. It's not, the practice isn't the same this week, of course, as it will be next week. But they're out there, staying, make sure the rust doesn't come in. And so, I think it's a great time. And Coach Webb's going to have a great weekend where he gets to go scout, and then, if I'm not mistaken, gets to fly up and go watch Jacob Clark with those Gophers play on Saturday, and see. Hopefully, he'll get some time in there and enjoy that. So this is a thing that that a lot of teams got to do in the middle of the year. Rockwall now gets to do take a breather and do what you need to do, including the broadcasters. Although we'll talk about it in a minute. We're busy with volleyball playoffs, so it kind of works out for us that we got some volleyball games to do, and we have an alumni game to talk about in baseball on Saturday. So I'm still busy, but it is nice to kind of step back and appreciate it.
We like to keep y'all busy. And, of course, we like to thank Rockwall Sportscenter for sponsoring our show all week long. Of course, we're proud to have Jet back behind the camera this week. Under the weather, he is back. So I know we had some people asking about him. He's back, and I think he's okay. He still has a broken toe or foot or something.
Yeah, he's got something on his
foot. He's got some boot going on, but
he got to park in the handicap spot mainly because he was wearing the Aggie
absolutely.
hat.
Yeah, there you go.
They let him park there.
See, Jet, I didn't say it, but we got some people logging in and asking questions. So if you are logging in, don't forget to ask us some questions for your smart broadcasters over here. They know everything about your football teams. Of course, Yo Boy Cal is talking to Billy, and then Leslie chimed in and said, "Go Heath Hawks." So we got a little of both going on right now. So if you're just logging on, ask questions away. Billy, it's not a surprise. It's known what's in front of the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. Let's talk about it just a smidge. We don't want to get too far into it. The rematch that could be going down in 3 weeks would be Rockwall versus Allen. That's obviously on the table. Allen is doing Allen things. I talked to our boy Nick Harris the other day, and he said this Allen team is no surprise. Young quarterback. They're looking good. A lot of people are talking about it. Obviously, we're not looking ahead because we got business to take care of next week. But the idea that Allen Rockwall Part 2, which is going to become maybe a rivalry. I mean, who knows? I mean, it's starting that way. It was a team that stunned Allen last year as far as that goes. It'll be before Thanksgiving this year. So if Rockwall wants to move on to play during Thanksgiving week, they're going to have to go through, it looks like, Allen at this point.
Yeah.
Talk about what the excitement level is of maybe possibly taking on Allen in round 2 again.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like most people are not looking that far ahead. They know it's there. They know it's coming.
Sure.
We saw what we did last year. But right now, it is focused on who we playing in the first round, because I think that is the staple of a Rodney Webb coach team with that staff, is because we're not going to look too far ahead. That's the reason they're taking care of business of what they got to do right now. You have to do it during the regular season also, and during district, when you know that there's that Heath game coming up, or we knew that Mesquite game was coming up, but we still got to go play North Mesquite, and the staff make sure they know, hey, North Mesquite can jump up and bite you. Let's be ready, and you got to put all your effort into that. And so I think they really are doing that. They are aware. Coach Webb has talked with the powers that be about possibility of doing that, where it's going to be and all that kind of stuff. But I think right now the main focus is, are you going to play Shoemaker? Are you going to play Harker Heights? Are you going to play Belton? And right now it more than likely could be Harker Heights. It's a weird thing. Harker Heights, if they win, well, actually, it may not be. It could be Shoemaker, because Harker Heights, if they win, they shoot right up to the number 1 Division I spot, and Shoemaker would be number 2. And so Shoemaker would be coming here. But then there's a way that Belton can get in. Let me see here. They have to win, and they have to hope that that Shoemaker beats Harker Heights. And so then that could get Belton into the picture also. So I think right now that's where they're going to be. They're going to be in the Killeen area on Friday night, and looking at these teams and what's going on, and knowing by the end of that evening who's going to be coming here. And very good chance, I think it's a very good chance it'll be a Friday night game. I don't think that either team wants to do a Saturday game, because you do have that tough opponent coming up. You don't want a short week.
Sure.
And Rockwall has played the Saturday afternoon games before, but I know that they don't want to do that on this one. So it'll be a Friday night game more than likely, unless something weird happens that they have to do it on Saturday. So that's something that you can probably go ahead and plan on. And real quick, I do want to mention, you get to have the call-ups from the JV and all that. And Rockwall's already brought up their freshman quarterback, Lake Bennett, who's actually got some playing time as a backup quarterback, because he's got a big future ahead of him also. But I do want to give a shout out here on this to the Rockwall 9th grade Orange team, the freshman Orange team, who went undefeated, 10-0, 6-0 in district, and they are district champions. The sophomore team finished 8-1 and 4-0 in district. They're the district champions. And then the JV won with a AJ Shipman with the big tackle in the end zone for the JV. AJ is my switcher on Jacket TV, so I got to give him some pub. But the big tackle, when it was 14-all, and they fumbled in the end zone, and Rockwall recovers to get the 20-14 win. They go 9-1 on the year, 5-0 in district, and they're the district champions. And not forgetting about that freshman white team, they win. They win their last one, 27-26, when they stopped Mesquite from getting the field goal that could win it. And all the teams come out and celebrate. That's a video that we showed where the Orange team come out to celebrate with them, and then a lot of the varsity players that were there at the game. So I want to talk about our sub-varsity teams. And as good as Rockwall's doing right now, they're loading up, because they got some kids that'll be a part of this in the near future that is dominating in the sub-varsity level, and we only expect them to come to the varsity level and continue that as Rockwall continues to have this great tradition and culture that Coach Webb and his staff have brought here, that they expect winning, and they expect to win a lot. And so it's a really exciting time right now.
We're going to switch gears just a little bit. We're going to switch gears to volleyball. I know you boys were both hitting the road last night for our bi-district round. We'll start with it was a coin flip, by the way. I did figure out that's how 1 and 2 seeds were decided between Rockwall and Rockwall Heath. Of course, we'll start with the number 1 seed, which was Rockwall. They went out and defeated Ellison 3 sets to 0, 25-11. 25-17, and a close one in the third, 25-23. Great call by Coach Webb's wife, Fran Webb.
Yes, it was a great call by her.
Which was led by Fran Webb, and then Billy was just there for looks, obviously.
For the ride, yeah.
Exactly. So Fran carried that train for sure, but very dominant performance for the Rockwall Lady Jackets, and a big victory for them. They are the bi-district champions, and of course this Friday they will take on McKinney Boyd, Bergner High School at 6:30. So talk about how impressive the Lady Jackets were.
Well, extremely impressive, and I had a chance to see him a couple times beforehand, but to be able to be there at courtside and watch these girls play against a very, very tough Colleen Ellison volleyball team. These girls can play defense, those Lady Eagles, and they were showing up. And you mentioned that it's deceiving that they got the 3-0 win because each and every game was had to be eked out by the Lady Jackets to get it. As you mentioned, that first one was 25-11. They did pull away in that first one a little bit later, but in the second game, it was Ellison that was up 12-6 in that one, and then Rockwall reels off 16 consecutive points to finally pull that one out. And then the third one was back and forth all the way. Ellison jumped out again to a big lead. They were up 10-3, if I'm not mistaken. And then Rockwall pulls it out 25-23 in that one. A couple of the players that stood out, both Fahey and Bomey, the sisters, Ogun Larry sisters, they are just unbelievable as far as the kills. Fahey led the team with 9 kills last night. Avery Reed led the team with 3 blocks, some crucial blocks. Your libero, Mackenzie Johnson, had 14 digs, and then Jaden Dougal with 34 assists. And it was just an outstanding performance all around for these Lady Jackets as they get that bi-district win for the 4th straight season. And then one other player I want to mention is let me find her here because she did. Avery Morrill, the 5'4" senior defensive specialist. Just her serves were untouchable at times, and she was a big part of those runs that Rockwall had. So congratulations to the Lady Jackets, and they got a tough chore ahead of them against McKinney Boyd because those girls are really good. They defeated Wiley last night and took that one 3-0 against Wiley. So it's going to be tough, and it'll be a nice showdown there in the area around. And I might be solo because the great friend Webb is putting family first, which I don't understand, as she's going to be visiting some family that weekend. So I'm going to be going solo there, and I know I'm not going to be able to carry it, without Fran there. But I'm going to give it a shot.
We're going to try. All right.
And I expect her back for when we win that area round. I expect her back for regionals.
Well, somebody's going to lose their first set, of course, between Rockwall and McKinney Boyd. So don't forget.
Real quick, I'm sorry, I want to give Coach Ferguson credit.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
his first playoff win, his first season as head coach, and a big win for him to get his first playoff win.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Coach Ferguson. The Lady Jackets, of course, we move on to the number 2 seed, of course, co-district champions. But the flip, Maggie was actually able to pick. So she decided to go number 2 seed. So they took care of business last night with against Belton over at Glen Rose. Of course, a messy night last night. But the girls got the job done, and I saw they stopped the Dairy Queen after the game for a little victory dinner. Stan, great job by the Lady Hawks. Of course, I think, and I tried to confirm it with Maggie, but she didn't quite know the number. I think it's 8 straight bi-district championships for her squad as well.
It is.
Very impressive.
It is, and they are trying to break the second round curse.
Which they've done.
They have, but I believe the last 5, they have not been able to get out of the second round. And so part of the reason why she chose the number 2 seed after the coin flip was because of the track through the volleyball playoffs. And so a very good Belton squad. Don't want to downplay the score. Kind of makes it sound like they weren't, but they did an excellent job. First set 25-21, and then 25-14 in both the second and third set. Hawks take it in straight sets. But really, all around from Belton, I think it was just a matter of having a few more players for Maggie and the Hawks as they were able to put some fresh legs out there that were able to score points a little bit faster than Coach Broadbeck and the Belton Tigers. But Tigers were led by the 6'2" senior middle blocker Abby Karcher, who was absolutely lights out in the front row. But she was not to be outdone by one Bree Kelly for the Hawks, who had 7 kills, and they were one of those things where if it was me standing in the middle of the court, I would have been hiding like a small child. Her dropping the hammer on some of those kills was absolutely unbelievable. But great game for Bree. Danielle Prado did fantastic on setting, and Laurel Knowles, her counterpart as well. The setting was brilliant through 3 sets. They did an incredible job of just putting the ball right where it needed to be to allow Bree to allow Taylor Barrow to come in and just absolutely drop the hammer coming back across the net. Don't want to fail to mention Sydney Morey, the senior outside hitter, did a fantastic job as well. She had several kills in the game. But Blair Adams had 9 straight service points in the second set. At one point, Hawks led 21-9. And it was just a rally at that point where the Hawks were able to close that one out at 25-14. Just an all-around team effort by the Hawks, and they will look to face off against Saxe. They were looking at this game. Saxe and Allen was the opposing by-district game. The Hawks had beaten Allen earlier in the season in straight sets, so they felt confident with that. And then Saxe, they actually played to 5 sets. Saxe wins 3-2 earlier in the season, and so Maggie just felt like by taking that 2 seed, the track that she was a little more familiar with, as opposed to the McKinney Boyds of the world, that this was a little bit favorable for them to break the second round curse.
And I believe that was one of the first games of the year that they played. It might have been the first game they played right off the bat.
I believe
one or two at least was that really intense matchup with Saxe. Of course,
it was the first
game.
Yep.
Man, my memory is still good. Still good.
And for what that's worth, 26 Saxe 26-24, 25-19. Hawks win the third and fourth set 25-22, 26-24, and Saxe takes the fifth set 18-16.
So that tells you how tight they could be, how it could be close. Of course, that game is at Lovejoy High School at 6 p.m. Are you alone too this Friday?
I will probably have help from Casey Pruitt, whose wife is Ashley Pruitt, the varsity assistant over at Heath. And so Casey's going to be helping out on the broadcast.
Michael Parks chiming in. Michael Parks is watching and sharing on Twitter as well. So doesn't know volleyball?
He was unavailable. So
family
time.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
Man.
Yeah. I needed a driver. That's what
there you go.
So we got
of course, of course. Both these programs phenomenal. These girls are phenomenal athletes. If you haven't made out to a game yet, of course, try to get out there this week. It's going to be in town. Of course, it's going to be close to Rockwall and Heath. So go out there, watch our ladies. Hopefully, take care of business this week and bring home some area championships as well. If you can't make it, rockwallsc.com. Billy will be on the call for Rockwall, and of course, Stan will be on the call for Rockwall Heath. Exciting times for Rockwall here in Rockwall ISD.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. We got to talk a little bit about cross country, and I told River Hill that we were going to talk about him for Rockwall High School. Talk about how exciting it is for this kid. He's a junior. He's coming out. He made state last year. I saw his mom post earlier. The goal is top 25 in the state. I think he's going to do it. What do you think? Of course, he runs this Saturday down in South Texas. So talk about what he's going to have to accomplish to I know we're not the smartest cross country.
Yeah, you're throwing me.
But you're the expert. So
on cross country
sports, Rockwall sports, you are the voice of Rockwall High School.
Okay.
So talk a little bit about just what it means to have a guy like this for Rockwall High School.
Well, that's what it is. You love having these kids like River that are out there excelling. And doing so much for the program. And I know that some of these sports are not the ones that are, you can do the broadcast for or right there in the
we haven't told you that yet?
No, well, we were doing that?
Saturday, you're going down.
I'll run along. I watched McFarland USA a couple days ago, so I can I can go right along with it. And Kevin Costner will do it with me. I think I'll just give him a buzz. But anyway, it's just one of those things that, you love seeing these kids that have the ability to go out there and really make a name for themselves. And when they make a name for themselves, they're making a name for the school. And we're bringing the school that much deserved attention. And anytime you see, River Hill and then Rockwall Yellow Jackets right behind him, we're all proud. We're proud of River and what he's doing.
Still
and this whole team.
It's the greatest name, I think, at Rockwall High School right now. You can't beat it.
No, you can't beat that. And so I love that part of it. I love how good that he's doing and this whole team is doing. And to get a district championship in there, too, is just outstanding. And so as we just keep trugging along here with these teams, with the cross country, with the golf teams do well, the volleyball, the football, of course, and we're going to have baseball. I mean, it's just so many riches that we have, no matter what sport you talk about, the greatness that we, the great things that we're accomplishing out there.
And Rockwall, like you mentioned, the Lady Jackets took home the district championship. The boys took second, and you flip it, Rockwall Heath just flipped it.
Yep.
The girls took second, the boys took first. I mean, that just shows you how close these two teams are and how great Rockwall is. We talk about volleyball. we talk about football, but cross country is right there with everybody else. And Stan, good things happening over at Rockwall Heath too when it comes to cross country.
Yeah, as they do. The boys take the district championship. Girls take second, and it's an opportunity for the Hawks to show off a little bit on the cross country track. And so, looking to they had the Region 2 championship. Did fall quite a bit there. Boys come in at I think 14th and girls at 17th. And then just a great opportunity for the Hawks to represent Rockwall, and it's awesome. I think it's great to see boys and girls teams taking first and second place out of District 11 6A.
And of course, River will compete this Saturday, 2:30 in Round Rock. So we wish them all the best. Stay tuned to our Twitter and your RSD webpage, and we'll keep you posted on how River does. Looking forward to that. So Billy Lee Hill posted that earlier today. So wishing the Hills the best of luck as they have their journey and bundle up. I think it's going to be a little cold. I don't know how cold it's going to be in Round Rock, but best of luck to all of them. Real quick, let's touch on a baseball thing. Of course, Rockwall Heath today having their golf tournament. Saw some lads out there swinging some clubs and some short shorts. I was a little worried about that with some coaches out there. But, of course, Coach Harvey leading the way. Of course, Rockwall Sportscenter, a very big sponsor of that golf tournament today. Is that where Coach Talley is, too? I know he was out golfing. That he was supposed to be our welcoming guest today,
right?
But he chose
actually with my broadcast partner with Shannon.
I saw Shannon.
Golf today.
So he didn't choose family. He chose golf.
Yeah, he chose golf, which is fine. I'm good with that. It's they're raising money and they're helping out with everything, but it's this whole family putting family first.
But this is going to be his alumni game coming up this Saturday.
He'll definitely be there for that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope he's not playing golf that day. It's going to be cold, but it's going to be fun. It's going to be sunny. Talk a little bit about what is happening with Rockwall, of course, alumni game for those that might be new to town.
Yeah.
This is new. Not really new, but it's new the last couple of years.
It's newer because what happened is even with my time here, and I've been in Rockwall for 26 years, and I remember back in the day them doing this, but for a long time, the last 12, 13 years, they've not had the alumni game. It used to be a tradition that kind of went a different way, but since Coach Rose has come back, this is his second year, and Coach Talley has always talked about it. They decided to bring it back, and I think it's a great idea. And we're going to have they're going to have enough of alumni come in and play that they're going to have a game between the alumni go against each other on Saturday afternoon at Talley Field, 11 o'clock, I believe. It'll be Saturday, November 9th. So, and we got some great sponsors. We got Soulmans, we got Joe Empey Agency, and Better Built Fence. Yeah, and so thank you to all of them for sponsoring that, and for them, because of them, we get to put it on the air. So Coach Talley will be in the booth with me some. I have a feeling he's going to be down there.
He's going to be a wandering man, I think.
He's going to be down there also, I'm assuming, and they may throw a few jabs at him. He's been involved with all these guys that are coming back in this alumni game, or a lot of them were coached by either Coach Talley or Coach Payne. And so it's going to be fun to tell some old stories. I'm assuming most of the stories probably won't even involve baseball. And
that's the best part.
That is the best part. And so it's great. But you're going to have a lot of younger alumni there, but then you're going to have the old guys with canes like Ron Merritt playing.
Okay.
Yeah, Ron's going to be out there, and he won't have the umpiring gear on. He's going to have that Rockin' R or maybe the old English R with the hat.
There you go.
That was back in the day with Ron. And so anyway, it'll be fun. It's going to be a great experience for everybody to come out and to have a good Saturday afternoon time. It's early, 11 o'clock, so hopefully you can come out there, hang out with the Yellow Jackets, and then head on to the soccer games and all that stuff that's going on with the kids. I know there's a lot of people that are busy on Saturdays, but it's going to be a good time had by all, and we'll be on the air bringing it to you. And more than likely, it won't be your usual broadcast. It's going to be a lot of just storytelling, talking about what's going on out there. A lot of
sounds pretty normal.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's going to be exactly like we do every broadcast. I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But anyway, so it'll be fun, and we're just going to have a good time out there.
It'll be in the 40s for your first pitch. I'll be
not in the booth,
perfect, but it'll be about 60s mid-afternoon. So
okay, all right,
you'll be good. It's not good golfing weather. It's good going to watch baseball weather. I like it.
It is. It's going to be fine. That's great.
And of course, if you can't make it, all the things to do, just put the earbuds in and listen to Billy and Coach Talley, and I'm sure some others as well.
We'll have people
we'll have sponsors
to sit
as well
in with us, I'm sure, and it's going to be more of a talking, which we normally do anyway. But this one, we're probably not going to be concentrating as much on strategy and moving runners and things like that.
Absolutely,
this is going to be a lot of great stories and things that happened. Is talk about that state championship appearance and things like that. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun all around.
And, of course, both baseball teams this year are expected to do great things. Of course, this might be one of the most exciting years for baseball that we've had in a few years. Of course, we had a few years ago where we were one round away from playing each other, essentially Rockwall and Rockwall Heath. That was probably the best year in a long time for both schools. That definitely could happen again this year. Of course, both district rivals as well. Real quick, if you have any questions for Billy and Stan, don't forget to post them here. We got a little more time left. I want to hit up on fishing for a minute. I said fishing. We've had a lot of good things happening.
I'm just taking pitches, man.
Yeah,
We got the curve coming.
I know you guys know a lot about fishing. You guys are fishing guys, but I want to talk a little bit about both schools, of course. I'm talking about you, the pros. Of course, Rockwall Heath, the last update I got, they got second in the tourney at Richland Chambers. Parker and Leighton Brown came in fifth. And then today we learned that the Rockwall fishing team ranked first in Central Division. Central Division, I don't really know what that means. It's not the NHL, the Central Division, I know that for sure. But they won first place out of 28 schools and 203 boats in the Texas High School Bass Association.
Right.
And they also have 3 boats ranked in the top 6. So if you plug it into college football rankings, 3 of the top 6, that's pretty good, I think. So
That's good to me.
I'll take it.
You're not the coach of that, are you?
No, you know who is?
It's not. Please don't tell me Tally.
No, it's not. No. John Marshall.
Yeah.
Coach Marshall involved with that. So they've got the jerseys. They got all of it going on. I've kind of done a little logo for them. I'm not sure, because we've updated it on Jacket TV
Sure.
and how well they've done. And a few of the kids on this team, I know. Jackson Randolph is on that team. And, it's just it's a crazy thing to think about. It's one of those deals that if they would have come to us when we were in high school and said, we're going to have a bass fishing team out there, you've been like, what? That's nuts.
I mean, especially where I'm from.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's true. Good point.
Hey, we're going to have a bass fishing team. It's going to take you 3 hours
to get to the
lake.
closest. Yeah. So, anyway, of course, at my time, even mentioning volleyball when I was in high school would have been a crazy thing. But anyway, it's just really cool to see this.
1930 Longview Championship. Right about that time? No, that's when you started broadcasting.
Yeah.
1930. Wow, that's vintage right there. And Dr. V, our superintendent, was able to go out with the Rockwall Heath Fishing Club, took some pictures. Looks like he caught a bass, so that's pretty cool.
Did he?
I'm sure the kids.
Your dad caught it and handed you the reel and let you reel it in.
We'll find out. We might need to ask him that question on if he caught that bass, but I'm sure that looks like a great time. Early in the morning, it looks like. So,
sure.
Congratulations to all of our fishing teams. Well done. Guys, wrap it up here. Football. Obviously, Rockwall with the break right now. Rockwall Heath, their final game of the year tomorrow night, unfortunately. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles in a way. We'll start with Rockwall Heath, of course, having their final game tomorrow. Senior night was 2 weeks ago. So a great time. Good win. Send them out on a bang for the Rockwall Heath at home.
Senior night was 10 weeks
ago. Well, sorry, senior night was not 2 weeks ago, but for the seniors, it was their final night. Of course, they did their walk and everything, and were able to do that. I mean, it's rotating on Twitter right now. So
47-31 win over Horn, and went out very, very well. It was a very odd game. Hoover has 182 yards and 5 touchdowns, believe it or not. But that's because the first 2 possessions for the Hawks started inside the 20-yard line. So
punting was not a thing.
No, it wasn't. So if you remember back to 2 weeks ago, the wind was nasty at Wilkerson Sanders, but you have consecutive possessions where the Hawks are able to take over at the 12, and then take over at the 4 on a muffed punt. And they had 16 yards of offense and 13 points in 2 possessions. So very odd game. But back and forth affair that the Hawks able to pull out the 16-point win for those seniors to give them that they broke that losing streak and were able to get that first win and looking to capitalize on that tomorrow night against North Mesquite over at Memorial. Kickoff at 7 because it is a Thursday night game. They try to get us home. I don't know why they kick it off at 7. I mean, we're going to get home late either way.
Same thing.
So, yeah, it really doesn't matter. But we'll be the crew will be together. It'll be Michael Parks and Shannon Rodden. With the call for you on sportsgram.net, rockwallisd.com.
And Stan Britton. You didn't say your name.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I got to make sure you're still there.
Yeah, I will be there. But we'll have the call for you and looking for these 2019 seniors to get that second District 11-6A.
Absolutely. Exciting times. And, of course, the best is yet to come for Rockwall Heath. We'll talk more about their season and recap it next week. Billy, obviously, final thoughts, a bye week for the Rockwall Yellow Jackets. I'm looking forward to a successful playoff run. A lot of expectations on this team throughout the year. Of course, they kind of dropped the ball against Longview, but other than that, it's pretty much been everything that we expected and maybe a little bit more. This team is ready. They're healthy. They're ready to rock and roll, and the expectations preseason were Final Four against Duncanville. That's kind of what I saw a few of those people saying that out there, that this team could do that. A few have backed off, but the majority of us still think that's very doable. And I think where they are right now is where they want to be.
Well, I'm not even thinking Final Four. I'm thinking state championship.
Yeah.
We just go past that. And we talked about it a little bit before. They're focused on this game coming up next week for the bi-district round. But don't think that they're sitting there, oh, holy cow, we got to then play Allen. They know they can play with Allen. They know they could beat Allen. They showed that last year, and everything seems to come back to, at least for this team, that game last year. That's a whole different ball game if Jackson doesn't get hurt in that fourth quarter. I think that's a whole different ball game. Even if he doesn't, when he's on the field, those defenses have to react to that, and that helps the team in general. And then, of course, the one tough loss this year, the bad loss, was Jackson getting injured again. So as long as we stay healthy with the Yellow Jackets, I think the sky's the limit for them. And yeah, okay, play Allen second round. If you went the other route, you're playing Allen fourth round, possibly. So let's just do it in the second round then. Let's go beat them, and let's just continue this drive all the way to the state championship, because I know that's the only thing that the Yellow Jackets think about, the players and the coaching staff. Let's go do it, and the broadcasters are excited to come along for the ride.
Absolutely. We didn't touch base on it, but the three teams that we know for sure, Longview, of course, they're going to be the outright district champions, and then we have Rockwall, Mesquite, and then we're going to officially wait on Mesquite Horn and Tyler Lee, the winner of that game.
We didn't go to that, but yeah, Tyler Lee and Horn both are 2-3 in district, and so it's the winner of that one gets in, and that's what the tough thing is for Heath not getting in, because obviously one of those is going to get their third win, and Heath at the most they can get is 2 wins, so that's why you needed Horn to lose that one to North Mesquite. But so we'll be watching that, see what happens there. Definitely keeping our eye on 12-6A and what they're doing on Friday night and what's going on there. And then setting the table for another run here in the playoffs, 7th consecutive year that Rockwall's in the playoffs, and they have not gone out in the bi-district round in any of those seasons. And so we expect to go out there and play a very tough, whoever it is from 6A, 12-6A, but we know they're going to be ready. Rockwall's going to be ready. And as I mentioned before, you got some kids that are called up. That's a new experience for them to be able to be a part of this. And this is a great time of year. The volleyball team making their run. Basketball season has started for everybody. And so that's getting underway. And I'm sure it won't be too long till we're calling a few games at courtside for basketball. Most of the time that's later in December or early January when we start doing that. And I'm just excited all around for all these teams and what's going on. And got Thanksgiving and a lot of eating, and hopefully we're still playing after Thanksgiving and keep doing that.
A lot of fun stuff happening. Of course, if you want to sponsor your local teams here, of course, give me a holler at 972-771-0605. Helps feed these guys as well as they're able to travel across the state of Texas to bring you whatever sport we're going to be doing that week. It's volleyball, football, basketball,
fishing,
cross country. We'll put a GoPro on them, let them run next to each other. Maybe a golf cart. Maybe I'll be generous and do that. So we thank you all for joining us. Of course, welcome back, Jet. Happy to have you back, despite being an Aggie. We're all good, I guess. So, anyways, thanks for joining us. Thank you to Rockwall Sportscenter. Of course, if you need your gear for the final week of the regular season, go to Rockwall Sportscenter. Go ask for KR, of course, Kim. Jared, they are wonderful people, and we'll hook you up. They got a new shipment in today, too, so more Under Armour for everybody. So what happened?
Enrollment numbers.
Well, yeah, that was going to be our next week's topic. You want a teaser for next week?
Highland Park has a 6A enrollment.
There you go.
I'll just drop that teaser, and then we'll talk about it.
There's a teaser. There's rumors everywhere. You never know what's going to happen. So we'll see you next week. Of course, thank you to Rockwall Sportscenter. Thanks to these two guys. Guys, safe travels this week. Of course, a lot going on. Football tomorrow night for Rockwall Heath. No football for Rockwall. 2 volleyball games on Friday. And, of course, some baseball on Saturday. So it's going to be a fun week for Rockwall ISD. We will see you next week. Same time, same place, 5 o'clock here from the Gene Byrne College and Career Academy. For the Rockwall Sportscenter update, I'm Chris Curtis, and thanks for joining us. And, of course, as always,
Jackify never dies.
Go Heath Hawks.
Have a great week, everybody.